So, Jay, well, first of all, welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
So, the other day I was thinking, hey, Christmas is behind us, and here we are creeping up to the new year.
2 days away, man.
Yes.
2 days.
Two days, man, to the new year. And what came to mind out of all things was this old saying. I heard it somewhere, and I heard it differently, but this is how I remember it. If I'd known then what I know now, I would have walked right past a whole lot of people.
Yeah, that's a heavy truth, man, because hindsight cuts deep. It shows us the faces we should have passed by, the voices we should have turned out, and the paths we should have never taken.
Exactly. And yet every wrong crowd, right? Every wasted moment, it's all taught us something. It sharpened our vision for the kind of love, the kind of friendship, the kind of life we refuse to compromise on today.
So this episode isn't about regret. It's about clarity. It's about realizing not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. And not everyone is meant to walk beside you.
And when you know better, you love better.
And when you love better, you live freer. Walk past the wrong people so you can walk into freedom. This is Outspoken. All right, welcome back, everybody, to our almost New Year's Eve episode.
Yeah.
So a couple days away, and we are in 2026, Joe. And one of the things that this episode's going to be about is walking past the wrong people. Dang it, if there isn't some time, some of these years that we wouldn't go back and say, yep, I would have never stopped to have a conversation or to make any kind of relationship with over time, right?
Yeah. And you're not wrong. And so here we come with the power of hindsight, right? So, it's true though, right?
Yeah.
So
That's exactly what that is.
It is, bro. We reflect on how hindsight reshapes our view of like past relationships, friendships, and even the choices that we make, right? Like it poses the big question. What do we learn when we realize some people were never meant to walk with us? Right. And this is a crazy thing about it, Jay. You have friendships, right? Like you and I, we had friendship for over 40 years, right? And not that you compare friendships, but when you become friends with someone else and you see how some of these friendships are sucking the life out of you, right? Or are convenience to them, never you, right? Or whatever the case is, you realize like, man, why did I even just become friends with them? What attracted me to say, yeah, let's be friends, homie. Let's hang out. Let's do things. Like, is it a culmination of bad decisions, of bad choices, like living a certain lifestyle? What was it that made me say yes? Relationships, same thing. What drove me to say this girl's for me? You know what I mean? Like, what possessed me to think that was the case, that woman was for me? And I think, and again, this is not about the woe was me. We're talking about how this has changed with time. How has these mistakes in the past, again, hindsight, what has that done for us to reshape the view of the past into our view today, and how and who we walk with? And that's important, right? Because now we have our friendship that's lasted the millennia, right? And we understand how friendship should be. We base it on like, this is a friendship that is about friends. It's not about what we could give each other, what we could take from each other, or anything like that. It's just who we are. We're ourselves. We don't have to fake things. We don't have to do anything. We don't have, we could hang out and grill, or we could go drink. It doesn't really matter what we do. It's just like we hang out. Relationships are the same thing, right? You look back in hindsight, you're like, man, that was a horrible relationship. But at the moment, it wasn't. It was great. You're like, yeah, it's great. Fun time, party all the time, right? But then in hindsight, you're thinking, what was I thinking? Like, and you can't help but to compare relationships, right? You sit back, you're like, man, I'm in this relationship, but that was horrible. That wasn't even a relationship. What was I thinking? Right. And that's a problem because we make choices that are incorrect. And it's a lot based on our environment. There's an old saying in Spanish that says, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. Right. Because we become our environment. And no matter what it is, whether it's friends or whether it's you live in the wrong place of town or you go to the wrong bars, you become what your environment is. Right. And so that costs us life. It costs us moments in life and these crazy things. So is there a cost to the wrong crowds. Absolutely there is, right?
Yeah.
So being around the wrong people, what does that do? Like Jay, if you're with a wrong type of girl, let's talk about relationships, right? Because everyone could kind of understand relationships, right? Not a lot of people have friends. Some people have an abundance of friends. People don't know how to differentiate between friendships and acquaintances, and everybody's my friend. The whole world's my friend, right? But let's just talk about relationships. Have you ever been in a relationship or been in relationships with the wrong people? And you know this because they drain your energy, or they distort your identity, or they delay your growth. Tell me about that. What did that do for you?
Well, I think everybody has encountered bad situationships, right? where you've gotten into this, whether it's somebody at work you started hanging out with, whether it's somebody you met through somebody else, whatever. And this could be a romantic relationship, or this can be just like friendly friendship relationships, right? That start off, and you know what? It's funny. I was talking about this the other day, that they start off good. There's no issues.
Right.
It's later down the road, the red flags, if you want to call them that, or the issues start showing themselves. A lot of times people are more comfortable yelling at people they love and their family and close friends than they are at perfect strangers, right? Of course, you have the Karens of the world that love to get all over strangers. That's a whole nother episode there. You get into this point of time when this person or persons, they want to take advantage of your time, your generosity, and they have no care how that affects you down the road, right? And they're trying to suck out every bit of whatever they want from the relationship before it's over, because they know darn well it's not going to last.
Yeah.
Right. Really, the whole title of this episode, walking past the wrong people, it literally means just navigating awkward encounters with people, right? And you could say metaphorically, it's like street encounters. You're walking by somebody and you're just going to choose bad company, right? It involves awareness, us being aware of the people that we are choosing to hang out with or make friends with or whatever. And the thing is, most of us in society, we try to be polite. And the thing is there's the basic politeness, right? Eye contact, nodding at people, saying, hey, what's up? Saying hi to people when you walk in a mall. Do people even go to malls anymore? That sort of thing. Then what happens when that gets to the next stage? And how do you distance yourself from somebody that's toxic or has a negative influence? Our hope is that everybody that we meet is going to be positive. And the thing is, the brutal truth to it, man, is that it is better to be alone than in bad company.
True. And I agree with you 100% on that. I agree with you 100%. Let me just give you an example. I've been in a lot of relationships that have drained my energy. You've seen them. I've been in a lot of them that have distorted my identity. I've identified in a different way. Not like gender identity. I've clearly never had an issue with that. And of course, there's the growth delays. And the one thing I learned is sometimes that we stay in these unhealthy circles too long, and it distorts who we are, distorts how we look at things. But here's the thing, and this is a very important thing. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in our life, and we have to be picky. We have to be picky about the decision. But here's the thing, guys. We're not talking about the traumas of walking past the wrong people. We're talking about, what did it teach us, right? So the cost of being on the wrong crowds or the wrong people or the wrong environment, what it should have done, the cost of it was our time in that period. But what it should have taught us was how to identify those people that drain your energy, those people that distort your identity, the people that delay your growth, right? And how long is too long, right? And here's the thing we should take from that is that you've been through there. How many times do you need to go through that path to say, you know what? I'm not going to take this road anymore. It seems to be the same one every time, right? But we do. Why? Because sometimes, and this is part of the wrong people, you are so distorted in your own identity that you think that this is all you could get, this is the best you can get, and it's not until you're free, and we've talked about this, not until you're free that you realize who you are. And what do we mean by free, Jay? You said it earlier. When you're alone, when you're at peace with yourself, when you're at peace with God, when you love God, and and you make those decisions, you know what peace is. You know what you want in life. You know how this is the environment I want. I want to be at peace. I don't need drama. I don't need red flags. I don't need, the only red flags I want to see is the one at the top of the roller coaster at Magic Mountain. Those are the only red flags I want to see, because if they're blowing too fast, the ride is going to be dangerous. So that's all I care about. So now what that should have taught us is choosing differently today. We have to make choices that contrast our past choices, more clarity, right? We have to have more clarity in what we do. There has to be, what's a word that I want to use there? We have to be, I guess, diligent in how we do things, but we want to make sure that we have that right to say, you know what, this is what I want. And if this friendship, this relationship is not giving me that, I don't want it, because it affects me. It bothers my peace, right? But here's the thing. It takes courage to walk past these people. Because here's the thing, bro. Growing up, you hear this all the time. It's all the bad things that are the most fun. It's always the bad things that you enjoy.
Always the food that tastes the best that's the worst for you.
Okay, you're not wrong, right? So, but, we have to now have a set of values, right? This is my expectation, regardless whether it's a friendship, whether it's a relationship, whether it's family, whether it's friends, cousins, whatever. It doesn't matter. You have to value or set a set of values for yourself, right? This is my standard. I'm not going to go below that standard. And you have to stick to that, right? So now you have to walk past the people who don't align with your values, right? But that takes courage. But the only way we know that is by learning from our past mistakes, correct? So if I don't learn from that, I'm not going to know what that person is or if they align with my values or not. But if we've learned it, we've understood that we want peace in our life, or that we want zero chaos, or we want whatever. We want God to be the center of my relationship. I want, peace to be the center of my relationship. Then those are our values. Those are our truth. Those are us, And so if someone doesn't align with that truth or doesn't align with that, guess what? You don't fit in my circle. You don't align with my values. You don't align with me. And I think that's the key of now having that past in your life, is that you're able to relate to that. And I think that's important.
Here's a really key thing too, if you think about it. So what do we want in contrast to people that are wrong for us in our life? We want people that are right for us in our life. And in order for you to have good people or the right people, you have to make space for them. Right. And by letting go of unhelpful connections, right, you open up our opportunities for healthy and supportive people to enter your life. Here is keep this quote in mind. Remember that you don't owe anyone a relationship, and walking away from a situation that feels wrong is an act of self-respect. Right. So again, it goes back to that whole thing of it's okay to be alone and get yourself right so you can be good with other people. Because it was a couple weeks ago at church, the pastor was saying the first thing you have to get good with is with God, right? And then with yourself, and then with others. And It's got to be in that order. And society has flipped that around, that we need to put everybody else first, and all these groups and all these identifiers and all this kind of stuff. And what has that created? Well, number one, people are confused on who they are because they're not figuring themselves out. Correct. And then everybody's just foregone God. They don't care about that. So God, yourself, and others is how you have to get. Now, when you talk about how you're supposed to love God, others, and then yourself, right? Mm-hmm. In that order. But in order for us to mentally and emotionally be where we need to be for people, we need to be good with ourselves, and we need to get rid of these people in our lives that are just toxic. I mean, there's no other word for them, the energy vampires, the ones that just suck all the life out of your being. Yeah. And again, this can be relationships, like male and female romantic relationships, or this can be people that are friends, or dang it, man, family. How many of us have lifelong friends like you and I that we've been closer than we have to some of our family members, man? Family members that you kind of shun away from because it's like, man, I can't stand being around those people. Correct. Or I don't even want to have anything to do with them anymore. Correct. And there's a lot of families that are like that. And it's sad. It's really sad. But at the same time, if it's devaluing yourself to where now you're bad for other relationships, then man, it's one of those things that's okay, because what's that old saying? Home is where the heart is. Correct. You don't have to be blood bound to, love somebody and care about people. Case in point is, you have kids that are given up at birth, right? Or even after that, and they become foster children, and they end up with a family that is way better for them, right? And adopts them or what have you, and they have a much better life than they would have. Well, that's not blood relative to them. So you're going to say that, well, that's no good. They should have stayed with their blood relative. Absolutely not.
All right.
Those people were
the worst.
could be the worst people for him to stay with. Yeah.
Correct.
So relationships don't have anything to do with birthright or blood relation,
No.
or, it's just like the hierarchy and monarchies and stuff like that, the kings and queens. So just because they're in that bloodline, those are all great people? Hell no. We've seen throughout time, those people in those bloodlines are some of the worst people in the world because they feel entitled to,
Correct.
to that bloodline and everything. And
You're
somebody
my queen.
else
Every day, all day, every day.
So guys, when you're, right away, and this is tough in especially just a friendship relationship, right? Two guys, you meet a buddy's buddy and you're like, hey, you're really cool. We like the same sports team, or we both like the same kind of music, or we're both musicians, or we both like to play golf, or whatever. The thing is you kind of have to set a boundary with people. And this is in general, right? And this is tough. Clear, assertive boundaries to protect your personal, emotional, heart, mind, well-being, and stick to those boundaries. These are things that you have moral standards that you don't go past, right? Even if it feels uncomfortable in that situation. So, when you're in school, what does that mean? Let's say you refuse to do any kind of drugs or anything. Somebody's like, well, come on, man, just have a puff of some pot here. It's not going to hurt you or anything. Well, don't do it just to fit in the crowd and be cool or whatever. That's not your deal. And Joe, let's go to it's a satanic worship night. We should go to that, because this dude of ours that he's kind of a cool guy and we want to be friends with him and hang out. I'm probably not going to go.
Is he sponsoring though? Is he sponsoring?
Is he sponsoring?
I'm just saying there's possibilities. We can work around things. I'm saying,
those are kind of extreme deals or whatever, but you have the stuff that you're going to stick to in your life, right? That
Correct.
Your moral boundaries that you shouldn't go past. And this really goes into relationship stuff too. I've said this many times to, especially like young ladies, they're like, I want to find a good guy that goes to church and this and that. Then don't settle just because he's the captain of the football team or whatever, or track star or whatever he is.
Wrestler. We forget about wrestlers.
Or the guitar player in the band, whatever. If he's not up to your standards in certain categories, then and I'm not talking about superficial stuff. I'm talking about things that really, really matter in the core down the road, right? That are going to definitely make an impact on your life. Talking about relationships, you're getting married. These are things you need to know ahead of time, right? Before you get all the way into that. Because man, once you go down that road, it's expensive getting out. First of all,
and you're not wrong.
Not just monetarily, but emotionally and everything else. And then once kids are involved, then it becomes a whole nother.
You ain't wrong about the expenses on that. Let me tell you. I hate you, California. I hate you. But anyway, so we come to the next part of it, which is the beauty of selective love. And that's something you've been talking about right now. Right. And I think here's the key thing. I think discernment in relationships is important. It really is. Why? Because it leads to a deeper, more authentic connection. Right. And we have to be selective because it's important. Not that we're being petty. Not that we're better than anyone else, right? It's not about anything but clarity, right? You know what you want. It's like when you go buy a car. You're not going to settle for something that they want to sell you. You want what you want. No, this is what I want with these features. This is what I want, and I'm not going to pay more than this, right? You have made a selection because that's what you're going to be happy with. Can you imagine going, this is what I want. I want this vehicle, and then you coming out with a Datsun B210. That's not what
B210.
Well, because that's what I had. You're not going to compromise like that because you already know what you want, what you need, what your life matters. And so we have to make these authentic connections that are meaningful. They're not superficial. They're not like it's a moment thing. It's passing by. Let's be honest, bro. We're not at that age where we could just waste time in a relationship where like, oh yeah, it's just conventional or it's a nice, cute thing. We don't have time for that. That's not our life clock is ticking, you know what I mean? And we don't have time for it. So here's the thing: the more you know, the more you vested in your past, in knowing what was wrong, what wasn't working for you, and what should have not been, and realize that and absorb that, the better for you in your future. So when you know better, you love better, right? And you know what you want. You have the boundaries. You have everything like you discussed earlier. And you start making better connections, right? Like you and I, we have a connection, bro. We could see each other across the room and like, all right, we're ready to go. Like we're done. This is not for us, right? We could make those connections.
We out of here.
We out of here. You start making these soul connections that mean something, that are rational, that are, and you have clarity. You know me, bro. Back in the past, I had no clarity and I just made harsh decisions on the fly. and just for no particular reason, maybe because
Just
Arizona
move across the country. Just move
Arizona
across the
sucks.
country.
I'm moving. You know what I mean?
Why you got to bring up oat?
Why you gotta bring up ocean? But you know what? No rhyme or reason. No connectivity, no nothing, whatever. It's just like, you know what? It's an adventure. Let's do it. I love
Dude,
adventures.
I've done idiotic things, man. For people.
we've all done it. But now we're selective. Now we have soul connections, right? Now you look at love, and love now, bro. It's not a novelty,
Right.
but it's about permanence. It's about truth, right? It's about I am staying here. I'm not going anywhere, right? That's what we're talking about when you make those connections, right? And
Right.
trust me, I'm in one now, and that's great, and I love it because we made that connection. But that's the key about it, is that you don't compare things. You don't go back and say, woe is me, or, oh, man, I'm going to beat myself up because I made these poor decisions. It's about seeing clearly. It's about knowing what you want, seeing the direction you're traveling, knowing the path is clear, and that's what you want, right? Is there going to be obstacles in the way? Yes. But because of our past experience, our knowledge, the things that we talked about earlier, we know what groups to avoid. We know where, we're like, wait a minute, that road looks very familiar, right? I'm going to go that way, right? Because now we know what the red flags are. We know what that little attitude, we know what that leads to. And we're not going to go down that path, right? But here's another thing, Jay, that I think it's important to understand. We keep talking about the people we should have walked past by. But here's the thing that we haven't talked about, us. Because what also changes is us. We get lost in translation, basically. And we become people that we shouldn't be. You and I have been on this path now for a while. And the path I talk about is our Christian faith. And here's the bigger thing. How you look at things also changes. You're looking at things way differently. Your out view in life is different. Your goals are set, your standards. You want a relationship that's based around God and religion. You want, your family to know God and to live in abundance surrounded by godly things, right? And when I say godly things, I mean like worship and prayer and thankfulness and things that we've walked away from. So we can't always just blame the person or the people or the friendships, the relationships, the situations in the past to things that, we should walk past them. But we should also learn about us. Did we lose ourselves during that time? And have we come back to who we should be and who we are? And that's just being ourselves, right? Being happy with who we are. And I think that speaks volumes, because not only have you, and here, man, you have the recipe of life. It's been given to you. One, the Bible, right? Everything you need to know is in there. But think about it. You've lived the life that you don't want to live again, correct?
That's correct.
Check one, right? Two, you've changed from being that person who enjoyed living in those toxic relationships or didn't know when was enough, not know, like, this is not how I want to be talked to, but I'll let it slide a little bit more. Have we not been in there? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We all have, right? Where we're like, you know what? She was just upset, or he was just upset. It's my fault. We've been through those categories, those stages, right? Like, it's my fault kind of stage. So now we know better. Now we know ourselves. Check, right? So now we're happy with who we are. One, we've identified who we truly are. Right? And we know that we don't need people to make us happy. We don't. And you know that. We don't need other people to make us happy. We should be happy, period.
Right.
And when you reach that goal of happiness, when you've hit that mark and like, I am happy, I'm good, you've discovered all you need to do. You found yourself again in the most simplistic of ways, coming home, not stressing, not having nothing. You're good, So when you meet someone, should that change? That simplicity, that peace? It should not. It should not even move an inch, right? In fact, it should probably be multiplied, because now you're sharing two people's peace. Now you're sharing, it should multiply. Friendships are the same thing. Should your friendship with someone, should it change your peace? Should it change what you like or what is priority to you? Absolutely not. If it starts to, guess what? That's not the friend for you, right?
Right.
And so all these things are important to know, and we shouldn't sit there again and beat ourselves up for living. Those experiences have or should have molded us to who we are today. And that should be a person or individuals with more clarity, with more freedom, with more direction in where their life is going. And that should be something we should be cheering about and be happy about, right? Not say like, woe is me, my life is ruined, and blah, blah, blah. Bro, I'm in my early 30s right now, and I'm living the best time of my life right now. You know what I mean? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't give my age away, bro. Okay, I'm 30. Why you be playing? Why you play?
Why you play?
Why you play? Why you play,
Well,
Craig? But you know what I'm saying though? Like
yeah, man.
your happiness should be you. Your happiness should be the situation that you're in,
Yep.
the life that you're living. You found your peace. So anyone coming into your circle, into your guarded space, should bring the same, right? When you do, you have that. You're in tune. You know, all the pistons are firing at the same time, brother. They're not all off, right? That's when
Yeah.
you have that timing problem, right? Now they're all shooting at the same time, right? When they're supposed to. And so I think that's important to understand that this is not about a woe is me or I walked with the wrong person for so long. Yeah, but you're not anymore. You're free. You make your choices. You live your life. Hallelujah. That's all I got to say. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of the times people really stay around and think they can fix other people's toxicity, right? So I've seen this many times. We've went through it. I've seen it a lot in girl groups, right? Where a couple girls are friends and they have a third wheel or a fourth wheel or whatever friend.
A torta.
And it could be what's that?
A torta friend.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
It could
Love
be
you guys all.
So it could be a girlfriend or it could be like a guy friend or something like that. And
Wow,
they
bro.
have this toxicity about them. One of the key things is the wrong people don't know how to love you, right? And here's the thing is that with love, we say, well, I'm in love with this person. You can also love your friends, right? Where you would basically do anything for them. Okay. So these people don't know how to love you and they will just end up draining you away from yourself because they don't know how to love themselves, right? So the wrong type of friend groups or relationships, they'll always have you questioning yourself and your own worth. So just like you were saying, you shouldn't ever have to feel that you're not enough for someone or beg for their validation or somebody's validation or acceptance, right? Because you should already be at that, like just like you said a minute ago, it shouldn't change you walking into a relationship.
Correct.
Right. And you just end up digging yourself in a deeper hole.
Correct.
So the key thing, man, is getting to a point where you let these people go. It's actually okay. And it's brave to just cut off toxic people, you know?
Yeah.
And toxicity doesn't have to be a huge red flag, crazy thing. It could just be people. Again, I love I don't know where the term was coined, but energy vampires, emotional vampires, these people that just slowly suck the life out of you. And we've all been around those kind of people at a party, and it's easy for us to walk away from. It gets tougher as they become ingrained more in your life and in, as a friend or a relationship, what have you. And we need to spot those things a lot quicker and kick them out of our lives because, man, 2 years down the road, now it's really difficult. Now you're ingrained in this, whatever relationship it is, whether it's a romantic or, a close friendship kind of thing. Yeah. And here's my key deal. And I talked to you about this, years ago. Jobs I've had before, I would go and hang out with people and, like a lot after work and stuff like that. And I don't do that anymore, man, at all. Because I'm just, if you get into a relationship like at work, and this is tough, and I'm not telling people don't make friends at work and stuff like that, but if you start to get where you have these close relationships at work and then things do get weird and toxic, and now you got to work with that person, right? So, and you really don't, that's a place that is already awkward anyways. Nobody wants to be at work. Everybody would rather be playing golf, doing something else.
Yeah.
At the beach, whatever, out drinking, whatever your vice is. And now you've got to deal with this funky relationship that's, started to go sideways. And now you don't know how to get out of it. And this person's draining you, and again, that's why work relationships, as far as romantic ones, are really bad. Because if that goes south, we've all either been in that or we've seen that, play out. It's just like a Jerry Springer show episode. So I caution everybody on that.
Yeah.
Make sure you're super sure of that before you start getting into romantic stuff at work. Trust me.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. But here's the thing, and I don't understand. And so we use the term red flags, right? Like, oh, the red flags are there, blah blah. To me, the red flag crap is kind of like toxic masculinity. These words that people just kind of throw out there and like, oh, look, red flag. Like, what's a red flag? Like, people have bad days. So let's not get into the craziness. People have bad days. People have, and again, we might be in a relationship or get involved in a relationship where they've had past traumas and they don't know how to manage something, don't know how to talk to someone because they've never been talked to that before, or just it's just a different world out there, right? Let's say they are at peace, they are having, they bring you the same joy that you bring them. But let's say you're in a situation, in a position where you say something and they're like, oh, I don't know, I've never been in that situation, I've never been treated that way, or where, you open a door for someone and they're like, oh, I can open my own door, all of a sudden, oh, that's a red flag, bro. She's one of them woman power, like all of a sudden, and I'm like, have you ever considered that no one's opened the door for her? Maybe that she's like weirded by that, like, and it's something that we fail to understand, that we all have little things that affect us, but and that's not what we're talking about. We all have little things that might bug other people, but that's not what we're talking about. When you have peace, nothing bothers you, right? You're able to deal with things in a much open way, in a much like smarter way, I want to say. Like you could sit there and say, you know what? Maybe this person's not used to that. Maybe it's something we need to approach differently, a little bit slower, but to me, being toxic is those people that just want to fight over everything, or just that disagree with you just to disagree with you, and when you identify that, it's those hot and cold moments, right, where they're like boop, and then back down, and boop, and then back down. You know what I mean? That's, to me, that's kind of toxic. Where you just like, do you just want to fight? Like every day, it's something, and it's something different every day. You change that. Oh, when is enough? And that's what we're talking about. Like you do now, when you know what you like, what your piece is, where everything is. Now you can say like, nah, I'm good, bro. Deuces. You know what I mean? I know where this is going, and I don't want to go there. I'm fine. And again, that's with friendships, relationships, family, whatever. You want to be more protective of yourself, right? You want to be
right.
Not set walls up, right? Because no one wants to see that. But I think that people want to protect. So like, for example, me, I love my peace, and before it was chaos. Now I have peace and I enjoy it. So I don't put a wall up, but I'm protected of that peace. I'm very protective of it. And I don't want anything to impact that, right?
Right.
And so I want people need to know that when you're with a friend or with a girlfriend or with a wife, and they know these things, right? So when you're like, selective love isn't about closing doors. It's about like opening the right ones, right? And so when we're selective with somebody, it's because we found all the traits that we're looking for, every single one. But does that mean that every day is perfect? No, even in friendships, not everything is perfect, right? Sometimes you're just off, right? And we've talked about this in past episodes that, sometimes a man has to show up a little bit more than a woman does, right? Because we're off.
It's never.
Friendships are the same thing. Friendships are the same thing. Some days we're just not feeling it, or something could have happened, had a bad day, and we're off, right? So it's more about the depth than quantity, right? We want deep connections, No, I don't need to have 50 friends. I don't need to have like, look at all these friends I have on Facebook. They're all my friends. Now they're your schoolmates.
Yeah.
They're people you went to school, you met them at a party. I met someone, bro, there's people on my list that I met one time at a party and they're my friends, and now like they know my life. Like, what was I thinking? Right? Like this freaking guy. And you probably didn't even like him at the party, but you were too drunk to know. And you just like, this is my Facebook page right here. And so, whatever. But so it's not about the quantity of friends you have, but the quality, the depth connections that you have with these friends, right? And if you don't have a deep connection, then what do you have? My time is too valuable nowadays to have just wasteful relationships where let's go out to the bar and drink. No, man. You know what? Let's go talk about something. Let's go hang out, bro. Like you and I, we went to a museum, right? And dude, we had a great day, the whole day. Museum, eating, getting fat, and just doing what we love to do. But
all of those things are really important, in relationships, and that it's not so superficial, right? And the thing is, choosing yourself and what's best for you is key, and kind of something that we talked on earlier. You need to have that room open for better people in your life that fit your energy. So when you have all these people that are negative energy in your life, they are blocking from you having other people enter your life that have that better energy, So one of the things I do want to say as a caveat to that is, even those negative, horrible people that have entered and exited your life, hopefully at this point, I do always now, not so much in the past because I had a different mindset, but we all cross each other's path for a reason. And I always wish and pray for those people for the best of everything, right? Because I don't ever want to be that completely negative person. Now, that's talking out both sides of my mouth, right? Saying you got to kick these people out of your life. But at the same time, they came in for a reason, for something. And maybe you put a spark in their life and maybe it will help them down the road. And they've got to go through 2 or 3 more, breakups or issues with friendships and things like that before they get the hint and before they finally get to where they need to be. But even though you're, kicking somebody to the curb in your life, wish them well, give them whatever your belief is, pray for them, wish them love and light, whatever, give them a power crystal if that's your thing, whatever. But we're all on different roads. We're all on different paths. What's that?
I like power crystals.
We're all on different roads. So, that path crossed for a reason. Just know that everybody's got their own little demons that they're dealing with all the time and everything. But definitely protect yourself and your own heart, because here's the last key point I'm going to make, Joe, is that you and I have this friendship. If you let somebody in or I let somebody in that's toxic and gets between us, now we would never do that. However, that is one of those potentialities that could happen, right? You get this toxic person that starts talking mess to you about me and me about you and all this. And look what happens, because we've all seen that. There's that one person that just causes a rift between all these different folks,
a jealous person.
Yeah, they're a spotlight hog. They've got to have like all the attention one way or another on themselves. And it's just ridiculous. So take care of yourselves and make sure that you are aware of the people that you're letting into your life. Know that time is finite. There's only so much of it. And every moment you spend is currency. Life currency is very, very expensive, right? Because you can't ever get it back. Like, you went to Vegas this weekend and you gambled a bunch of money away and you're like, oh, I can't pay my rent and all this. Here's the cool part about that. You can make more money. You can never make more life, ever. Yeah. The richest people in the world will all die. The people with the most gold in their vaults and everything are buried, been burnt. They're gone. They don't exist anymore, right? And all the rich people, the Elon Musk, if you like him, you hate him, people that hate him, he's going to die one day. I'm just going to tell you that. And maybe it's on Mars. Who knows? But we only have so much time, and that time is very precious. And for you to give it and waste it upon toxic people is foolish. So that's all I got to say, Joe.
So let's wrap this up. Walking past the wrong people isn't regret. It's freedom. It's the courage to protect your peace, the wisdom to choose differently, and the clarity to love better. Right? So walk past the wrong people so you can walk into freedom. And with that, remember that the choices we make impact the lives that we create. And so moving forward, remember that it's not who we know, it's not who we love, but it's how we love them, right? And how they love us. And it's what we create together. Your peace is important because your peace is what creates that relationship. It's what creates that bond. And when that peace is disturbed, your mind is off. Your focus is off and everything goes to crap, right? So take care of each other. Remember to love each other. And sometimes we have to show up a little bit more than the other person. But remember that our past mistakes or past lives and what we've lived in the past shouldn't be a woe is me. It shouldn't be I could have done better. It shouldn't be none of that. But they should be lessons to us moving forward of things not to do, things what to look for. And to find that inner peace that we all have, that we all should be seeking before we seek a relationship to give us anything other than more peace. Be wise about the decisions you make and think about your own well-being, right? And the freedom and clarity that you need to start a relationship, whether with a friend, with a girlfriend, a boyfriend. Renew a relationship with a family member. Do it with clarity and do it with no intent of receiving anything in return, but giving all of you to them. That's all I have to say.
Couldn't have said it better. All right, everybody. Well, go into 2026 with open heart, open mind, and make sure you're making good relationships this year. All right. And as always, take care of one another.
Remember, do better, be better.
And as always,
God bless America.
See you next Tuesday.
Remember, guys, Happy New Year. We'll see you next year.
Happy New Year. We out of here.